of general obligation bonds and a tax levy, therefore. I will entertain a motion. Oh,
So
excuse me.
moved.
This is a first reading, and a public hearing and second reading will be held on Monday, April 29th, 2019.
Yeah,
I'll
Mr.
entertain a
Mayor, I
motion.
make a motion that we pass Order 46-042-42019, approving the new high school construction project and authorizing general obligation bonds and a tax levy thereof. First question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Councilor Titus and a second from Councilor Fournier. I will open this up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? None being, I'll bring this back to the council. Is there any comments or debate amongst the council? None? Councilor Gary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm still not too cool with the two questions because I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for it. I'm just saying I'm not too cool with how it's broke down because the school committee had originally said that they would raise $3 million or more towards the project, and in the notes and the things we've got, they're not. I still think we should do everything we can in order to try to keep the mill rate as low as possible so we're not causing an extra burden on the taxpayers. I'm in the spirit, as you said, in cooperation. I will be quieter, and I will vote for these two measures tonight.
I will say, Councilor Gary, I don't think you should be quiet on those issues. I think a lot of people, including myself, share that concern. Okay, I think fundraising will be everybody's responsibility. And I do believe in the question, there is an italics, and I'm going to paraphrase, where that fundraising and grants and so forth will be applied to that second question. That'll be clear, it's on the ballot, so people will see that. It is our responsibility to hold that accountability, though, of course. So I'm right there with you, and I think you should continue to speak up throughout the next several years about that obligation and about that desire. So,
Mr. Mayor, real quick, I
Councilor
just wanted to
Titus.
add on to that because I heard you say that it was going to be applied to question number 2 if number 2 passes. But I hope that we're going to make sure that even if only question 1 passes, that there will be a fundraising effort because, again, there will be opportunities, naming rights, so on, things, and I really hope there's going to be a good effort to do the best we can there to reduce, even if only question 1 passes.
it does say local-only bonds, so it does apply for both
So it
question
would apply
one
to
and two.
question 1 as well, the local part of question 1.
That is why it remains italics in both question 1 and question 2, is, I'm a taxpayer in Auburn as well, so I'm just as motivated to raise the funds. We've been saying that all along, the commitment. The package is still up to $14.5 million, so we're committed to raising the $3 to $5 million. It's, as I've said on and on, it's hard to go out there and start our campaign until we know what's voted on.
Correct.
Right.
Absolutely. And I, too, I want to thank everybody involved up to this process. I have been frustrated with the process at times, I'm sure as everybody has. And I, too, obviously, everybody has what their exact thing would be, but I think this is as good as we can get to being as close to everybody's wish list as we can get, I think, at this point. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Lasagna.
In terms of the fundraising, I know it can't be explicit in here about $3 to $5 million, but I think when we do the educational piece to make sure that people understand the extent to which we're going to fundraise to reduce these costs.
Very good. Councilor Fournier, I'll just go around the room. Councilor Fournier, do you have anything?
I just concur with Councilor Lasagna. I think we need to be very, very clear because this could be confusing.
Councilor Hayes?
I guess just looking at the order as written, actually, we're not truly looking at the question 1 and question 2. All we're really saying is we're approving the project and authorizing in the first, what we're voting on first, bonds and a tax levy state subsidy. So we're not voting really on question 1 and 2 separately. We're approving that we'll accept.
He's looking at this. This is A and B. Those are 2 parts.
That's my understanding, but I would defer to.
Can you clarify this, please, sir?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. Jim Saffian again, bond counsel.
You're rounding down to the lowest hour, right?
Yeah, so so there's a couple of steps you're taking. There is approving the project and authorizing the bonds. Those are separate orders, and they require 2 readings.
Right.
So at the second reading, when the orders are actually adopted, there'll also then be a referendum order, which only requires 1 reading. And so that order will actually have the form of the questions that you're then sending to the voters. And that'll reflect, we just gave you the ballot to look at, but it'll reflect what's in those
We'll
ballot
be voting on the ballot
questions.
on Monday.
Well, you'll be voting on the questions.
Questions,
I mean, the
okay.
clerk will take that order, which has the questions in it, and put it into the
And
ballot.
so right now, we just have a motion on the floor for
The state
what would be
subsidy part.
state subsidy, but plus local share of
No,
111.
no, I think this particular one is.
No,
is-
that's what I
is-
just read, and Sue, if you could, the clerk, just confirm that.
When it said
for
a tax levy
111
thereof, I
million.
thought it included question 1, but this is just the state part.
This is the amount reflected in the question 1, $111 million.
Okay, all right, I thought so, okay,
Which
yeah,
includes
right.
the 105 state subsidy and the
This is the
5
combination,
and
okay.
change of the local only.
Right,
And then question 2 will be solely local only.
That's correct.
right, very good.
We'll go into the next motion.
As I thought that was. 1A is 1 and B is 2.
But there's some local in both questions.
Correct.
But we're not really voting on that tonight, the division of that. We're
No,
just saying.
no, we're doing that on Monday. This is
Well,
on-
No, we are.
You have 2 orders. You have 2 orders here. The first order reflects what will be in question 1. The second order reflects what will be in question 2.
But there is some local share in question 1 as well.
That's correct.
But what we're really doing is just approving that we're going to accept the state money, and we're approving actually local share up to the total that we've agreed to.
When you add both
So we're not
questions.
really-
We are. When you add both questions together, because local share is part of question 1, motion that's on the floor, and local share is part of question 2, as we previously in the workshop discussed, together that will be both the state money and the complete local obligation.
We're not voting on the division of that local share between 1 and 2 tonight.
Okay. Any other?
Well, we are.
We are. We are.
Counselor Hayes, we are.
I think you are. I think that
Yes.
question 1, I'm sorry.
that.
A is
Yeah,
question
so
1.
The first order you're looking at now
Yep.
reflects the state subsidized piece and the local only piece that will be in question.
Up to a certain,
Up to 5 million,
Up to the
5.5
5.5
million.
right.
I think the second order reflects the remaining local only piece.
I
For
think
B,
I think what's confusing is it says state subsidy only above the order, and it should say state subsidy and local.
Yeah.
That's the minimal.
That was my shorthand, so I
I
could
know,
keep
and
track
you
of
were
the 2
working- and
orders.
you were working
So
hard
I
at
just,
the
that was
last
for my
hour.
own kind of
Okay.
keeping the
But
orders.
if you read it, it's the same thing that's written for question 1.
I apologize for that.
So A is question 1, B is question 2.
Correct.
Now, we're not voting for the questions tonight, we vote for the questions on Monday.
The
But
language.
here, we're just voting for the order of first reading, second reading on Monday for this, and the single reading for this
To move
on
on
Monday.
Further discussion. the next-
So it's just first reading, Bob.
Okay.
There's no commitment at this point.
Is there any other questions?
I read it differently.
Okay, is there any other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to close debate at this time on the motion that's on the floor. I'm going to ask for a roll call vote at this time by the clerk.
Counselor Gary? Counselor Lasagna?
Yes.
Counselor Hayes?
Yes.
Counselor Titus?
Yes.
Counselor Fournier?
Yes.
Counselor Walker?
Yes.
Counselor Young?
Yes.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Order 47-04242019, authorizing additional
Hold on,
costs.
hold on. I have to say, the motion carries 7-0.
Oh, go ahead.
My gosh, just because I don't have a gavel,
all right.
you've
But you
been in
can
the
do it on
power
both.
seat
Can
for
you
a
hit it
week
twice?
now, you took over.
Can you
It's
hit
like
it
a coup d'etat.
Can you hit it twice at the end?
Okay.
We got
So,
there.
motion carries 7-0. Thank you all very much. Now, moving on.
I didn't hear that. Did you really hit? No.
Moving on. Counselor Titus, please do
All
the
right,
honors.
sit down.
I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we approve Order Number 47-04242019, authorizing additional costs for the new high school construction project and authorizing general obligation bonds and tax levy thereof, local share, and this relates to question number 2, by the way.
Second?
and authorizing $8,972,346 of general obligation bonds and a tax levy therefore.
Your gavel and that was really
I
made
did
the
the
meeting.
second time.
I got a motion on the floor by Councilor Titus, a second by Councilor Fournier. Open this up to public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak? None being, I'll bring it back to the council. Is there anybody on the council who would like to speak on the second question? Councilor Hayes?
I guess because that wordage is not here before us, I guess I still go back to the way that I read it originally, that we're approving up to the 14 point whatever million in local bonding. And I do approve that, but I disagree with the addition of, in the second question, because we're really authorizing up to the total of local share.
Yeah, and as long as as the clerk puts it in the addendum to the order, which has the dollar amounts, we'll be doing that, correct?
I don't see it before me, so I can't vote.
The total of local share equals the amount that's been discussed of 14.5
One
million.
and two.
Mhm.
But we're not
Together.
locking into that division at this point.
We are.
Well,
In these
it's
orders.
not here.
So I guess you're approving two orders. The actual approval of the questions, the actual saying, this is question one and this is question two, will actually happen Monday.
Okay, I
Yep.
understand that, and that's
Yep.
one vote after we've approved bonding up to a certain amount total.
That's correct.
Okay, and that's what I see we're voting here tonight,
You're doing first reading on that, yep.
first reading.
Right.
I don't see the division of the money at this point, because that's really question one, question two. That's not before us tonight.
Well, the orders reflect what will be in question one and two,
That's
but,
not how it reads here.
right.
Okay.
I don't have another way to do it. I don't have another way to have you,
You know, all we're doing is authorizing by vote up to the total local share bonding.
We've already done that by resolve, too, so.
And we have to do it for the state here.
Superintendent?
I want to help, see if I can help. So, Bob, are you saying that if the question were to change on Monday, I'm just playing devil here, what happens to the orders? Because you're saying you're not necessarily agreeing with how the 14.5 was split on the two questions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you could vote down the two orders because you don't agree with the split. If you change the split on Monday,
guess-
what happens?
then we would amend so you could amend this order, these two orders, when you do final action. And-
Actually, I'll abstain from this second because I'm not going to be here Monday night, this next Monday night
Okay.
anyway.
I don't think that's, I mean,
Because as it's reading now, we're essentially, for the state, in an order here, approving local share, total.
We are, between the two questions. Between the two questions, we are.
Yeah, but we're not necessarily, at this point in time, saying what the split is.
No,
That
we-
comes
right.
next week.
That's
Correct.
correct,
Yeah,
yes.
so
All right.
you would amend.
Right.
Yes,
we would have to amend this language if we
Why-
wanted to change that.
right.
Why would you have to amend this?
Because the dollar amounts in the orders are exact, the up to amounts. And if you change, if you add, let's say, additional parking, take it from question two to question one, it would change the additional amount, the
Does it
total
change the
amounts.
local share?
It changes it within the split within the two orders.
It would.
But we're not voting on that tonight.
So, we are, as we go around asking questions, why don't we just, you could, obviously, Counselor Hayes, think about this and look at this a little bit more. Is there anybody else that has any questions about this question? Okay. None being? Okay. I'm going to ask the clerk to call a roll call vote.
Counselor Gary.
Yes.
Counselor Lasagna.
Yes.
Counselor Hayes.
Abstain.
Counselor Titus. Yes. Counselor Fournier.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
No.
Counselor Young.
Yes.
By vote, the motion carries by a vote of 5, 1 no, and 1 abstention. I'll now entertain a motion at this point to adjourn. Mayor, if I can. Oh, yes, Mr. Manager.
So, Jim, you're a bond counsel,
Yep.
okay, for the city of Auburn, all right? You've been advising us on how these questions should be prepared. So I understand where Counselor Hayes is coming from, and maybe that's why Counselor Walker voted no, because of his hesitancy about this. What you're advising is that the vote by the council, which they just made, is reflective of what was discussed earlier and what is written in these two questions that the council will be voting on Monday night,
That's correct.
correct?
Yes.
And Counselor Hayes is raising a question because in the first order, it says state subsidy doesn't show local subsidy.
Oh, you're talking about the parenthetical at the top?
Yes.
Yes, okay, that was my own drafting note. I was circulating drafts. I should have probably circulated a final version without that parenthetical on
Okay.
it.
But legally, bond-wise, that has no impact in terms of the question?
That's correct.
Okay. So question 1 and question 2 are fine?
Yeah, those, it's
And they're not-
surplusage language. We should probably
Okay.
delete it
All right.
in the final version, so.
Okay. Thank you.
And now on Monday, we'll be doing the same order, these two orders, but also having a vote for the ballot questions, correct? The
Correct.
second reading on Monday, so
Second reading and first reading on the ballot. Do we have an anticipated time where we'll see and if there's any modifications to the ballot language you've already proposed? I mean, obviously, if you need a little bit more time to look at that, obviously you're a rush today.
Yeah.
Is there any,
I don't think we'll be making any changes. I think what you
I mean,
have now.
sleep on it.
Yeah.
Sleep on it. Keep the dollar amounts the same so we don't have to change anything.
Just
But-
remember, the school committee did vote unanimously to accept that question.
Okay,
just
very
so
good.
you know.
Okay. So we will have, these are the questions we'll look at, and we can have comments to approve the ballot language on Monday, as well as second reading on the actual dollar amounts per order for bonding. At this point, thank you very much for your time, both of you. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A motion from Councilor Zani and a second from Councilor Fournier. All those in favor by voice vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Ayes have it.